I'm Jordan, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about things that I like, which just so happens to be TV. And today I'm going to be making part 2 of my first kill video. This one is very unfortunate because instead of focusing on new beginnings like I did in my last video, I have to focus on the beginning of the end. And basically all the arcs that they set up to make an amazing season 2, but unfortunately the show didn't get renewed for a season 2. So instead we're going to be talking about how you could have done so much more if you'd only had time. Very Hamilton coded. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Okay. I don't even know if that's all the words, okay? I haven't seen Hamilton in forever, but those are the words I'm going with for today. Also, I want to address the elephant in the room. I do have on different glasses. They're not new glasses. They're old glasses. Because my black pair of glasses, I broke them. Well, not broke them. They're kind of crooked because I was beating myself in the head one day. I don't want to talk about it. I was just having a bad day that day. And then also the other elephant in the room, because there's 2 elephants in the room. You just can't see one of them because you haven't subscribed to me on Substack yet. So I have been posting short stories. Well, I posted 1 short story so far on Substack. Please go check out my Substack if you're watching this. Oh, also, my whole plan of having a promotional image in the background to kind of fit my whole vibe of Jordan Likes TV, yeah, that's not gonna work because AirPlay hasn't been working for me. Like, ever since time I try to AirPlay something to my TV, it just has a white screen. So I pretty much give up on that whole idea. Also, I know it's probably really annoying to see that circle in my glasses from the light. On the internet, they say angle your light upward and it makes that go away. But look, this is the light up. This is the light up. Like, that's not even lighting my face. This is kind of up. Is that better? You can still see the light. Okay, I can't see what on my glasses, so I won't be taking them off. So that's just something we're going to have to deal with at this point. Episode 5 starts with the girls, running away from their parents, and they break into the school and decide to spend the night in the school because in the theater auditorium area, they just conveniently have a bed set up. Now, while they were having their little sleepover in the school, it's a few things I want to touch on. That's another thing. My last video took forever to edit. And it took forever to film because I don't know when to stop talking. I can literally talk for hours straight and it'll be tangents about nothing. So I'm going to try to keep it short in this video. I realize I don't have to recap every single detail that happened in the show. So hopefully that'll make it better. I'm already doing better because my notes are only 7 pages. My last notes that I had for the first 4 episodes were literally 20 pages. So we're already doing better. Now, if I could just stay on topic, we'll really get somewhere. While the girls are hiding out in the school, they kind of joke about how absurd their situation is. Juliette is like, it kind of feels like Romeo and Juliet. And Cal is like, yeah, sounds familiar. Because that's literally you guys. Rival families, yeah, except, you know what? If there was, okay, I'm not even gonna get into it, okay? So they talk a little. The main thing is Juliette talks about, feeding, and Kyle talks about being a hunter, and they promise each other, Juliette's like, I won't feed on you. Kyle's like, I'm still gonna hunt, but I won't hunt you. They fall asleep at the school and they wake up to the bell, and both their families are demanding them to come home, and both families reluctantly let them stay at school. However, I find it so funny that the phone calls were so different. Juliette straight up threatens her family, and Cal has to lie to her family, and she's like, look, I've never been in a club before. I'm setting up for the play. Please, please, please. And Juliette straight up like, I'm not coming home. And that's just what it is. So it shows the difference in parenting styles. I'm not going to go much further into that. Ben confronts Juliette about pretending everything is normal. And Juliette does have to get on his tail for a second. She tells him that you're in a relationship with a closeted boy, so you don't want to talk about being normal. And then later, the monster alarm goes off at school while Ben and Noah are in the locker room making out. And the Ben and Noah thing is kind of tragic, but like I just kind of talked about, Noah is closeted and has a girlfriend, but is hooking up with Ben on the side. And yeah, Noah basically tells Ben, I'm not gonna come out, I'm not gay, this, that, and the third. Ben's trying to tell him, like, who do you call when you need somebody? You don't call your girlfriend, you call me. But all of that to say, while they're like arguing back and forth over the phone, they accidentally take a picture right when the monster alarm goes off. Okay, I know it's kind of everywhere, but a lot's happening at one time, so follow me. Juliette's in class. Well, not in class. Juliette and Cal are getting ready for the play, I think, like setting up the play. And the teacher or whatever, she's like, I need to call and make sure this is real, because in this universe, Savannah has monster alarms, because like in the past, there were a lot of monsters, even though now there aren't a lot of monsters. Look, here go the tangent I was talking about. Cut it, okay? We're cutting it. But as Ben and Noah are like snatching the phone back and forth, they snap a picture of something. This same monster ends up killing Noah, and Ben Ben ends up sending the picture to Juliette, who's with Cal, a monster hunter. So Cal is immediately able to identify it as a zombie. Cal and Juliette then go after the monster. And the zombie is revealed to be Ashley. You know, the Ashley that died at the party. The same party that the witch was at. The same witch that was in the middle of the road when Cal and Juliette ran away. Hint at what's going on, okay? Anyway, the zombie is able to manipulate Juliette because she's like, hey, Jules, it's me, Ashley. Can you help me find my phone? And okay, so this makes Juliette pause and hesitate. Then Calliope has to come in and save the day. And she's super happy because technically that's her first kill. Cal does get a little injured and she's bleeding, and Juliette almost loses control.
I know, but you don't want to hurt me.
Then as they're going to get rid of the body of the zombie, right when they open the bag, when they get to like where they're about to bury it, it like turns to ash after they already carried it, which makes Cal be like, you couldn't have waited. No. She's like, you could have did that a little sooner before I carried you out here, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what she says. But I will say, like I always say, the signs about me were always there. I was literally avoiding my own sexuality because for some reason, for years and years and years until this year when I cleaned out my camera roll, I say years and years and years. The show came out in 22, so 4 years. Anyway, I had the picture where Calliope, she's like crouched over, she has the blood on her. I had that picture saved on my phone for the longest, so the signs were there. Anyway, Oliver, Juliette's brother, the kind of problematic brother as the family calls him, and his girlfriend Carmen, who is the witch. Okay, I think we went over that in the last video. She is the witch in the middle of the road. She is the witch that was at the party. And in this moment, it's revealed to us by Oliver saying, oh, no. Or does Carmen say it? Oh, I can't remember. Okay, this is why I hate having a full-time job, because I really wish I could have made this video right after I got done watching the show, because my memory is a little... Okay, but I think it's... trying to remember. Hold on. I think Oliver's like, hey, Jules. And then Carmen's like, aw, she killed her zombie. That reveals they made the zombie the night at the party. And they needed a liver for an elixir, which obviously that's setting up the season 2 plot line right there. What elixir? Ooh. What elixir? We don't really get any more after that point. And then the last thing Oliver kind of says to her is that he makes her a deal, basically. If Juliette helps bring Eleanor down, he knows a way to turn her human. Okay, now as we get into episode 6, the police are investigating Noah's death because Juliette and Cal are seen on camera, like, the only ones around Noah around the time that it happens. But we know that it's just like they peeped the zombie, that we're trying to kill the zombie. But the police may think it's more. However, Juliette and Cal successfully lie and get out of questioning. I think that's how that, again, I can't remember. I got to get better at watching the show and immediately making the video, because some things get lost in my head, honestly. And Moms Against All Monsters are starting to ramp up. Now they're like protesting at the school and at Juliette's house, I believe, or maybe not yet. Ugh, I should have wrote down more. Okay, here's the problem. I shortened my notes. Now I'm lost a little bit. What the freak happened? This is the problem. I shortened my notes a little bit and now I'm missing crucial details for my own memory. So excuse me if I'm wrong. But Mams, led by Ben's mother, is starting to amp up operations. Okay, especially with first Ashley and now we have Noah. So it's looking very, very crazy. From the human standpoint, you have to keep in mind, like, the moms really don't know what's going on. We do, they don't. And this is where Talia, Cal's mom, decides that they're going to move again. So Cal's losing stability yet again. And Talia also decides to do a severing ritual, which is something the guild does whenever someone's bitten by a vampire, to sever the connection. And on short notice, they can't get anybody out to do it. The only person who has experience with it is Theo, Cal's older brother, because Theo and Cal have the same dad and different moms, because Theo's mom was killed by a vampire when he was a kid. And not being sure if he was bitten or whatever, he went through a severance ritual. Hey! Okay, so my short story on TikTok is called Heart Severance. It also has a severance ritual in it, so go check it out. It also has lesbians, but instead of vampires, they're witches. So this is your sign. This is your second sign. I already told you one time to go read my Substack, and I'm telling you again. I'll put the link in the description because this is your second sign, obviously. But anyway, as Theo is attempting the ritual, Cal sees Juliette and it feels really, really real. Like, it's a dream type thing, but Cal thinks she's really there. That's how these legacy dreams kind of work. They feel super real. And then also lore about Theo and his mother's death kind of gets deepened, because Theo then remembers it happened in broad daylight and the bite mark disappeared. That means his mother was killed by a legacy vampire. Then later, Eleanor takes Juliette out partying, and Juliette starts letting loose. She on the floor. She on the dance floor. Hey, yes. They get drunk and they take this drunk guy outside, and her sister are sharing their first drink, should I say. Like, Eleanor's like, let's play a drinking game. Juliette gets one arm. Eleanor has the other arm. Yeah, eventually they end up draining him, and Juliette has a conscience. Juliette does not like that. It does not sit well with her. Meanwhile, Eleanor is completely unbothered. They go to a lake, a river. They go to one of the two. A swamp. What are crocodiles in? They go there and they throw the body in the water, but not before Eleanor takes a souvenir. Eleanor is good for taking souvenirs. The man she always takes their license. But anyway, they throw the body in the water. Eleanor's like, this is my favorite part. And the body starts dancing in the water, if you know what I'm saying, when the crocodile pulls up. And this, again, Juliette's forever, like, getting hints that her sister lacks morality. And this was just another piece of evidence to confirm that in Juliette. And by the end of the episode, Oliver sends a letter to Juliette, essentially reminding her that the offer is still on the table. Then we have a moment where Ben doing his best friend duties. I think I mentioned in the last video that Ben is, you know, he's a good friend. He freaked out a little when Juliette said she was a vampire, but I mean, when we all... If I found out my best friend was a vampire, I would be pissed though, because why are you not turning me? Like, in literally almost every vampire story, I would want to be a vampire, so. Except there was a show called Viewers with Ian from, how you say his last name? Ian Somerhalder from Vampire Diaries. He played Damon. He was also in another vampire show that I believed he produced called V-Wars. The vampires in that one are kind of, you know what? I think in that universe, I'd still want to be a vampire too, honestly. Even though they get kind of, it's better than being human. That's how I see it. But, okay, here we go. Tangent, can we stay on topic? Then Cal sneaks into Juliette's room. This is how we know the severance didn't work, which, not to spoil anything. Wow. Was I low-key inspired by this to write my short story? Because that happens in my short story too. Go read it. And then Theo starts showing his psychological symptoms. Obviously, the severance brought up this wound or something inside of Theo. Oh, I don't want to get into it, but I really wish we would have got a season 2 to really expand on this more. Victoria Schwab, I mean, she's probably not watching this, but you know, on the off chance she is, do you think she signed a contract? Like, could we maybe raise money so we can independently get a season 2? Because she wrote the short story the show is based on, and she made the show. Can we maybe start a Kickstarter or... Yeah, let me know, Victoria Schwab. If you're watching this, let me know. Now, by episode 7, a body is found in the woods and is revealed to be Clayton Cook, the babysitter from... What episode was it? The babysitter that Juliette had to... Juliette's first kill. Okay, I'm trying to refresh your memory and refresh my memory at the same time. And what makes it so sad is I watch this show every couple of months and I still can't remember shit. Get it together, okay? I did take a break from smoking. It's not going to be a permanent break. I'm just letting you know now. But I did take a break, so hopefully that clears a little memory fog. Anyway, Clayton's body is found in the woods, of course, where the girls buried it, and he is found with no blood. So the police automatically suspect a vampire did it. So the police are questioning the girls, and Cal's like, no, that doesn't mean a vampire killed him. It could be a person with clinical vampirism. I think she says that. I mean, if I didn't have to work so much, this video would have been made, okay? Because I finished the show weeks ago, so it's not fresh in my head. I could have rewatched it for this, but I didn't. Like, does that, like, am I not committed enough? Is that my problem? Anyway, Cal brings Juliette to her house and kind of explains to her parents what happened with Clayton and asks her parents to kind of protect Juliette. And her parents, by the way, this is another vampire universe where the vampires, well, it's in like every vampire piece, right? I let TikTok convince me that it's not, but as I'm going through it in my head, literally almost every vampire movie, TV show, whatever, has it to where you have to ask permission to be let inside. But I seen a TikTok where they're saying that that was kind of the lost part of the vampire lore, but it's actually not. So sometimes you have to get off TikTok and stop letting it convince you, because literally Vampire Diaries, First Kill, Sinners, what may have you, they all have that. So Cal's parents are like, she cannot come in here. You do not have permission to enter my house. But Juliette steps in and she's like, kind of already got that. And like I said, the Burns are refusing to help her, but Cal's like, so no. Here's what we're gonna do. She's gonna come upstairs with me, and the girls go upstairs. Soon after, the guild arrives to search their house because they heard around the town the news of Clayton, the news of Calliope vampires. So they're coming to search the house. And Cal and Juliette run again. While they're running, they have to go through like a police checkpoint where they have to like hold a piece of silver to confirm that they aren't vampires. And Juliette gets through, you know, Cal helps her girl get through. Okay, because when she's like getting burned by the silver, Cal lets her foot off the gas. She's like, sorry, this is my brother's car. Tangent, here we go. That's one of the parts that's not that important, but I just had to tell you. Anyway, they get to Juliette's house and Ma'am is surrounding Juliette's house. Shortly after the police checkpoint, because the police, like the head police lady who did the vampire check on Cal and Juliette, think Cal is the vampire. So when she's like, oh, going to Juliette's house, Ma'ams, everybody pull up. Also, another side point, I'm also working on a novel right now that takes place in Savannah. Well, the beginning takes place in Savannah. So if you want to know more about that, follow me on TikTok. I did a December writing challenge where I documented like me writing the first 50,000 words. I have to finish writing it. I haven't finished writing it yet, but if I do make an update, I'm going to update my TikTok. So follow me on there. How do you explain it? A fight breaks out because Theo's just too quick. Oh, too quick. Anyway, a fight breaks out. Theo has Eleanor pinned, and Theo tells Apollo, stab her.